I guess it's weird, especially on social media, when something's written down, typed out in, black letters on a screen. It feels more weighty and of course we forget that doesn't make it true, and when you're talking about your life, your experience, that's true to you. There's no one can really say anything about that or question it. That's your truth and your story. And that's what I again loved about this book, is that you're just telling us about your life. It's not up for grabs to debate or discuss. It's like, this is my story. If it resonates, brilliant. And, luckily it's resonated massively with me, and I know it will many other people. And I wonder, looking at your life in this way under such a microscope, was it quite interesting to look back at all of these moments, big or small, to see not only how they've impacted you, but how they've shaped you to become who you are sat here today?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you really feel when you're sitting down and writing stuff, and like you said, looking at something in black and white, you're really confronted with yourself, and it becomes an exploration. It can't help but become an exploration of that. And it is funny how I so wish I could go back to those younger me's and have a word with them and say lots of different things. Because in writing them, I really understood better like where I was coming from. And it was so confusing at the time, or you're sort of fighting your way through this jungle of expectation, like your own or what you think people expect from you, what my business, being an actor, what people expected of me in that business. When was I supposed to say no? Apparently you're not allowed to say no. And if you do, you get punished. Like it's really, I'm so proud of like that little girl and young woman, really, because she got it in the neck from like all sides often. But I really feel like I really like who I am, because I see that reflected in my son and in my partner, in my friends, in like the quality of the life that I live. I know I've done all right because I see how much love there is around me in a way. And I'm so grateful to that. She was my own personal pioneer.
And isn't that like the best place to get to? Because I think I've certainly spent portions of my life looking back at younger versions of me and not only cringing, like most of us will at periods of our life, but also feeling self-loathing towards that version of myself, sort of mortified by that version of myself. I'm certainly getting to a place where I'm much more accepting these days. I'm maybe not where you are, but that's certainly my aim, to get to a place where I go, well done, younger you. Like, I wouldn't be me today if it wasn't for everything you'd been through or experienced. And I think that's the goal, to get to that place.
Yeah, I think so. And it's always going to be a work in progress. Like,
Yeah.
I'm that whole notion of that I still fall into that trap of thinking that there is a there, that there is some arrival point of everything falling into place and that everything is fine and that I'm feeling great about all of it. Like, that just doesn't exist.
No.
But there is a version of, I think, real delight, compassion and fondness for those former versions of yourself. And, I wouldn't be here now sort of calm and as together as I've ever been, I suppose, if she hadn't been allowed to make those mistakes. Which is kind of what this current version of cancel culture is. So it makes it so terrifying, because like young people can't, or anyone, you can't really make a mistake and learn from it and evolve publicly. You have to be punished. It's like this eternal, you have to be put in these eternal stocks and have pies thrown at you. It's so strange.
It's wild.
And I'm scared for my kid. Like,
Yeah,
I'm scared for my kid and his mates. Like, what does that mean that everybody is a version of the thought police if your opinion doesn't align with theirs? I wonder where that goes.
Oh, I don't know, but I also can't bear it. I definitely worry for my kids, and I feel so grateful that starting my career, I didn't have the echo chamber of social media and that constant feedback in that way, because it is so harsh, and cancel culture does, well, it stops all of us from growing, because as you've just said, we have to make mistakes. We have to, especially when we're young, that's what it's all about, is try new things.
But also, like, I think trying to affect systemic change on systemic problems, how can there not be process involved in that? Like, a system is only a system because it's been set up that way, and dismantling that requires transformation. Like, that's just basic something. I mean, I can't think what the collective term for that is, but I know
something works perfectly.
Like, everything is process. Why? It's so interesting that maybe things had to become, it's so weird how in one way we're being asked to become non-binary in our approach, and yet this is the most binary part of our culture right now. It is black and white. Some people say you can say this, you cannot say this. You can think this, you cannot think that. You cannot make a mistake and be forgiven for it. But maybe this is also part of the evolution. The pendulum swings really hard back the other way to try and right the infractions of the past.
I think so.
I don't know. Ask me in another 50 years.
Well, this is it. I mean, it won't stay the same, that's for sure. Everything's always changing and evolving, and we can only hope that it goes in a better direction, that people are more forgiving and we're more forgiving of ourselves so that we can be more forgiving of other people. Because I think that's where it must stem from, feeling, that we're giving ourselves such a hard time, and it's much easier to deflect that onto strangers, essentially.